Hi, this is Todd Profit, and today I'm going to give you a tutorial on how to create a young designer or technician resume. It's not that different from what someone who has been in the business a while has been, but this is a good way to represent the work of particularly an early career person. And this can easily be adapted for someone who's later in the career. The big question is, what is the purpose of the resume? And I know that sounds silly, but some people don't really think about that. The main thing that you're trying to get across is the amount of experience you have. So that's what we're going to try to focus on. That's what the majority of this resume is going to be. But let's start with the top. Obviously, the most important thing that you need is your name. And you're going to want to have that up at the top. It's going to be the largest font probably on the page. What font? That's up to you. Just make sure it's easily readable. And I'm sure I'll talk about this again later, but when you're saving, make sure you actually save it in a PDF document so it preserves that font, because I hate to send it out and the font you used is completely different from the one that the person who's reading it has, so it ends up not looking like the way you wanted it to. You're going to see I'm doing this one on Excel. Typically I do mine on Word, but I do think Excel is the better way to do it, and it's simply to allow you to align things up into columns, and it has nothing to do with, it's easier, but it's if you use an Excel, it's going to future-proof your resume. And I say that because at some point you're going to pick out that font like we were just talking about, and you're not going to like that font anymore. You're going to want a new font, and I'll tell you, I have changed the font on my resume at least 15 times. The problem that I have with my resumes in here, I'll just show you right now. Go over to my resume real quick. Not this one. Let's go to the other one. Oh, nope, I can't go to the other one. But if you go through here and all of a sudden I want it to now be, currently it's Gil Sans, and I want it to be Adobe Carlson Pro, it just changes sort of some of the alignments. This is not a good example of that, but it can sometimes really get things out of alignment if you don't. So the whole reason why I like Excel is for the columns, and I'll just give you a quick thing here just to show you what all the columns look like. That's sort of how we've got the columns set up. But for your title, what I've actually done is gone in and I've actually just click on merge, and it'll merge those together and then center it along the top. If you're more comfortable doing this on Word, do it on Word. I'm just telling you, in the future when you start doing columns, sometimes you're going to have to make some adjustments, but it's up to you. But this is the basic format that you want. Okay, so underneath that we have occupation. Now what's occupation going to be? Occupation is not necessarily going to be what you want to be. I know that sounds strange. It's going to be the position you're applying for. You really want to make it clear that you are the right person for this job. And be very specific. If the job is for a technician, a backstage technician, it's a more general position, put that. If it's for an electrician or a costumer or a stitcher, put that. My background, real quickly, is I was the production manager at the Theatrical theater company for 5 years, or at least 5 years. I did the hiring. And I've also I work at a university. I've had an opportunity to be on a lot of search committees. I've been on one recently, and it sort of made me want to do this again. But you want to be, when I'm hiring, I want to get the person who has the most experience in that position. So if I'm hiring an electrician and you're selling yourself as a general stage technician and you've got experience of both those things, but if I get that resume of somebody who's just an electrician, I'm more likely to hire them. It's going to give me the appearance that they have more experience than that, even though they may not. Okay, so you want to be very specific. If you don't have enough information on your resume just to put that for that, let's say you want to be a carpenter, you don't have enough experience, you're going to put that other related experience on there, but you use it if you need it. If you don't need it, then don't use it. Okay, because obviously we want to make this a one-page resume. We want to make it quick and easy for someone to read, and someone can scan and make that decision very quickly. The thing that I've recently learned is with electronic applications, I'm finding that companies are getting more and more applications than they used to. It was kind of a pain in the butt to get a piece of paper out and print out all the information and put a stamp on it, send off. I know it doesn't sound that hard, but it took some time. Whereas electronic applications are extremely easy to send out. So the whole reason I'm saying this is if they're getting more applications, then you need to be able to quickly get your information across and get the information across that you're the right person for this job. And the whole reason why you see the setup that you see with all of the columns is because it just allows for somebody, once they read this, they can quickly see how much experience you have. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. So occupation, put the job that you're applying for, put that you are that for which they're seeking. It's the old objective. I want to get a job doing this. No, this is the shorter version of the objective. I want to be this. Real quick, I got to do one thing because this is bothering me. Anyone who knows me knows I can't spell to save my life. You always want to make sure you spell check everything before it all goes out. And I'm just going to do this real quick. Sorry. All right, I guess that word was right. Okay, so that's occupation. What other information do you need in the header? Email address, phone number, website. You used to hear a lot of people say put your address up there. I used to recommend it, but I don't anymore because really this is the only information they need to get a hold of you to hire you for a job. Email address, obviously, for contact, phone number for contact, and website. I highly recommend getting a website. If you haven't, if you don't have one, you want to get one. And I've actually got some tutorials up on my YouTube site to help you do that. But the reason why you want a website is it's going to give context to your work. You're going to add pictures. You're going to show size and scale of the places you've been working. Even if you were just an electrician, if they see that it was a beautiful set design and costume design, it's going to show that you worked with quality people. So I highly recommend getting a website. Okay, I like a little borderline just to separate those two things. To me, just visually, it helps separate your name and then everything on the bottom. Next is experience, and okay. So the next big chunk in your resume is going to be the experience, and you want to divide it up by position, okay, then by theater company, then by show title, okay. This is where there's a lot of great debate. Some people say put it in chronological order. Some people say put it by theater company. I prefer by position, and for one simple reason. I'm hiring you for a position. I need to figure out quickly how many times you've done that position or related positions, okay? If you divide it up by theater company, you're making me look and count. If you divide it up by chronological order, you're really making it hard for me to see it quickly, okay? And that's the key, is being able to get a sense of your experience quickly, okay? Now, again, this is your resume. You can put it however you want. And again, other people are going to give you advice to do it in one other way. This is the way I suggest it. When I'm scanning resumes, it just makes it so much easier if I'm hiring for a position to see the experience divided up by position. Okay, so you're going to divide it up by position. So let's say you're going to be a carpenter. I'm going to put carpenter here. Then you're going to divide it up by theater company. Which theater company? That's up to you. Sometimes I will probably personally, I usually put the last company that I work for. That's the one that's going to be on top. Sometimes it's prominence, okay? If it's a larger theater company or a more prominent theater company, I'm going to put them first. And then I'm going to divide it up by show, and typically at that point I go chronological, okay? So do by theater company. Now this is something new that I've started recommending. If there was something unique or interesting that you can't get into, say, a cover letter about this position, like I supervised, 1,000 union crew members, okay? That would be something that's going to help get you the job, particularly if you're a young technician. Okay, you could put a little description here. Sometimes it's just hard to show how much experience you had, or like if you were working for your school and you helped set up 30 different little one-off shows. It's things like that that you're not going to be able to get in this other information. You just want to put in there quickly. Again, it's got to be quick. It's got to be brief and to the point. Okay. But if you did want to add a description, you could add it in under here. Okay. And you'll see on my current resumes, I rarely do that. All right. So then what you're going to do is you're going to make a column for that. It's going to be indented in from the position. Typically, I bold the position. I'll put the theater company, and I'll put the show title. You'll see show titles should be in italics. Okay, so they're in italics. You put your supervisor here or the director, and I like to sort of put what the supervisor was. If it's a lighting designer, put LD. CD for costume designer, SUP just for your supervisor. This is the column. This is sort of the name dropping column. This is who I worked with, so that if they recognize someone from their list, they can maybe call that person or check that person. Basically, this is your networking column. Okay, you're going to want to put that information there, and again, if it's someone they recognize, the chance that they're going to call them or talk to their friend is going to help. And then the date obviously goes on the end over here. Okay, so then like I said, I'm going to divide that by theater company 1, theater company 2, 3, and 4. I tend, if I've done multiple shows there, I tend not to repeat that. It leaves open space. Anytime that if you have something that's repeating, try to. I'd rather have blank space than something repeating. Again, it's just easier on the eyes. Okay, so I'll do that position 1, position 2, position 3, and position 4. Now, again, these may be related experience, and you might actually put a new header in and put in related experience if you want. There is a great debate, and I sort of am on the fence about this, which is in dividing up experience between academic and professional. Some people say split them up. Some people say just leave them all together. It's pretty obvious what is the academic experience over what is the professional experience. I tend to mix them all together. I personally, as a production manager, don't care. Some people do. It's personal choice. So maybe you'll have a header here that's experience, and then down here, like I said, professional experience. And obviously the professional experience is going to go first, okay, and then the academic experience. All right, let's go on down to the next section. Next section is skills. What are you going to put down there for skills? These need to be things that are very specific and not general. They need to be things that give me a reason to hire you, okay? Your first skill should always be in the area that you are. So fluency in reading music. Well, this would be the first skill to me for a stage manager. If I am a lighting person, then I'm going to move the one over here. I'm going to move the light right and probably ETC Express over here to the first. You want to assume they may only read one, so put those most important ones first, okay? They should be very specific. Look, I use this specific software. I use this specific, I have this very specific skill like pneumatic tools or fluency in reading like it says there. Not general things. I'm good with people. That just doesn't work. And also, be careful if it's the area that you're interested in. Don't put basic skills there. I'm an electrician. I know how to use a skill is not. I know how to use a C-wrench. Okay. I'm a carpenter. I can use a hammer. Okay. If you're an electrician and then you put basic power tools or pneumatic tools, that's going to be a good thing. But don't put the skills that I have to assume you have for that job. Okay. You'll notice here 2 columns. I've seen this in 2 columns. I've seen this in 3 columns. The reason for the columns is it makes it easier to read. I've seen people spell it out and put it in paragraph form. Don't do that. Again, I'm going to scan that and pick out the skills that I know I need. Again, if you're a stitcher, if you have draping skills, you put that on there. Okay, and I need to be able to find that quickly. As someone who's had to hire before, that's a very important skill for a stitcher if they can actually do some draping too. So make sure you, again, put very specific skills here. Sometimes I'll even bullet those. The next section of the resume is the education and related awards. I've also seen these split up separately. I do need to give credit real quick to Jessica Bertolo. She actually originally helped me put together the first version of this. And this was sort of, these are some of the things this is one of the things that I have to credit her for is the layout here. Okay, put the university, put the degree you earned, put when you earned it. Again, here's another great debate. If I put May 2017, okay, we know that's in the future. So you know, it's sometime in the future. So some people will say, don't put graduation date, just put the future date. Again, it's personal choice. It does make it clear if you do actually put the graduation date there. Okay. You should also list here any awards that you might have gotten. Things like the honors program, like Jess put down, are all things that could help you. The thing you want to think about, though, is if you have a choice between putting awards and putting more experience, put more experience. Okay, these all need to be things that help get you the job, because again, the most important thing is going to be your experience. No matter where you are in your educational experience or in your educational track, experience is always the thing that's going to get you the job. Okay. Then second to that is skills. Okay. The degree you have is secondary. All right. It's important, but the other two things are more likely to get you the job over somebody else. Okay. The last thing you're going to have on your resume is your references. Typically between 3 and 4 is what most people put. You want to, first of all, ask anybody you're using as a reference. All right. And make sure you get approval and find out what phone number, what title, and what email they want you to use. Some people do put references by request. You'll see those on my later resumes, but those resumes are actually designed for my website. They're not actually designed for me to hand out. So it is recommended, particularly for young designers and technicians, to put those references down. And okay, so this is sort of my basic young designer or young technician resume. Let me just show you a couple examples of other ones that I have. This is one that's a little different format. I don't recommend this all the time for young designers and technicians. I don't think it's quite as good. This was actually more for me just as a general resume. But again, it's another way. Again, you'll notice I divided up by experience, and then I go through and I just give some basic highlights to what I did for each of these positions. If you're maybe applying for a position that's more of a full-time position as opposed to a per-show position, this might be a format that you want to use. And I will, in the notes for this video, I will leave links to all of these, or at least to a Google Drive with all of these videos in them, so that you can, or sorry, with all these file names, so you can look at this a little more closely. Okay. So there's just an example. This format, like I said, is more of a traditional job. All right, let me just show you mine. Sorry, give me a second here. There we go. So this is my resume. Todd Profit, lighting designer. There's my website. You'll see I use the format that I talked about. Again, you can easily scan. This is my lighting design. These are the companies that I worked for, and here's my education. My references are available on request. Why do I don't have skills in here? Typically, as a designer, there's not a ton of skills that are going to help get you a position, so I tend not to put them on my design resume. The other thing that I wanted to show you real quick was a curriculum vitae. Now, what is a curriculum vitae? A curriculum vitae really is just a resume that is of everything you do. Why would you want a curriculum vitae? Well, I do a curriculum vitae. I do we call it a CV. I do a CV one because I'm in education. It's the thing education institutions want you to have. But the reason you want to do it as a young designer or technician is really, it's just a record of all of your experience. If you, and I'll show you this in a second, if you set up your resume in the same format, or your CV in the same as your resume, then when you need to edit your resume, all you have to do is you edit that CV into the format that you need for that specific job. Because as you get more experience, you're not going to put everything on there. Please don't put everything on there. The CV is going to be that accurate representation. And I'll tell you, as I have reached my mid-40s, I don't remember everything I did 20 years ago, but I still want to have a record of that, and I want to be prepared to go back and look and say, okay, has Todd ever done, say a scene design? Well, then I can just go back on my CV, I can pull those out, and I can throw that into a resume if I need to, okay? Now, this particular CV is, again, for teaching, and there's some things you're not going to have, like education. Education isn't going to be on the top. It's still going to be down towards the bottom. It's wherever you want it, okay? But now I have my teaching experience here. But let me just scroll down a little bit. And of course, when you're a teacher, that's the most important thing. But let me just scroll down to my creative endeavors. My creative endeavors, this is my lighting and sound and all kinds of other experience. So here's just an example of, but you'll see it's the exact same format. This is actually the updated resume. It's the same format that you saw before. So all I have to do is come in here and copy and paste this into my new resume. So again, this is a curriculum vitae, and again, let me just, as you can see, in my mid-40s, I've done a few of this. I still even keep my acting stuff on there. Why? I don't know. It may come in handy one of these days, but I do. I like to have that accurate record. And I just wanted to scroll down here real quick. Honor, scholarships and honors. These are things that I've used, that I've got. And again, I bullet them out so they're easy to read. This is, again, something you're going to want to pull and maybe put some of these things into your specific resume. And I mentioned before I didn't have skills on my other one, but here are all my skills that I have at there as a technician. One of the things I do like, this is just a little different formatting thing, is I do like having them separated with the double line and just a little different font. But as you can see, after 20 plus years in the business, your CV is going to end up being 16 pages. And if you've done this long enough, you'll have something this long too. Okay, I hope that was pretty clear. Like I said, I'll leave in the description below. I'll have a link to all of these resumes. If you have any questions, feel free. My resume, as you can see, my email address is on all of these. Or please check out my website at toddprofit.com. Thanks. Bye.